Hey, everybody, this is Dana, and I am sitting down with Robert Pye for this episode of Our Stories Connect Us All. He is out in Ontario. He is a husband, father, and angler, freshwater angler. He's the executive director for Watershed Canada. He's an author of a national award-winning outdoors program, which I can't wait to dig into that a little bit more. Numerous articles, various publications. You're a maple syrup producer and a dog owner. We could probably hit a podcast for every one of your um, identities in
Yeah,
that bio. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Dana, it is a pleasure, and I'm so excited to join you on this podcast. It's actually how I first kind of discovered you. Your first podcast, uh, I believe it was with respect to adult onset hunting, and
Oh, yes,
yeah, and
that's me.
yeah, and we've had some good conversations about um, lots of outdoor topics and life in general. So great to be
Yeah,
here.
I think I discovered you with your through your dogs.
Right.
Was one of the first posts that popped up in my feed, and as a wannabe dog owner, your dogs look so cute. I rent in the North Van here, and we are not allowed to have dogs. So we've tried budgies, we've tried fish, we've tried bearded dragons, chickens. None of them have quite fit the bill. So currently, we don't have any critters. So one day it would be great to have a doggy. But
Okay. Well, hopefully
you,
that one day will line up with a time that I'm going to have another litter. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, but I did appreciate you reaching out, and that litter um, was so good that I kept two.
you did.
Yeah.
How many
So
puppies were in that particular litter?
there was eight, so now we are a family of four dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Four dogs,
So
four humans.
that's right.
Yeah, because
So
you've got
English
two
English
teenage.
setters, as you know, and it connects with my passion for upland game hunting. But I'm a major English setter fan. I've owned English setters since 1999.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. Anyways, just super proud of these dogs, and they are a legacy litter. I say that because I have the last remaining breeding female from a kennel that ran for about 40 years. And before the owner of that kennel, Tim Tufts, passed away, I made a promise that I would have poppy bred, and that's how you saw the great litter of pups that we had last summer.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So did you have that breed as a kid or as obviously as, 1999? Seems like it was not that long ago, but when you do
Yeah,
the math,
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of been a while.
Yeah, I had just started my career, and a friend of mine in Ohio um, uh, asked me to come down, and he was in a life transition. He asked me to come down to Ohio and get his pick a litter female that was 1 year old. That was Molly, and I kept asking him again, "What's this breed called again?" Because I couldn't remember the name. Okay, English setters, and I really, honestly, didn't really know what English setters were all about. But my goodness, I've got it figured out now after eight. I've had eight English setters, and they're just amazing, amazing disposition, lovable dogs, and their enthusiasm is matched only by mine in terms of hunting.
That's awesome. So you got your first dog and you have two teenage boys. Are they into raising dogs and keeping that legacy litter going through the
Absolutely,
breeding?
yeah, yeah. I'm actually so impressed with the level of dedication that my boys have brought to um, the setters. They have actually found ways to push the limits on English setters in the field more so than I ever have. As an example, my oldest son, Charlie, um, on his own initiative, decided to take Digby, my oldest English setter, out duck hunting. And, a duck hunting pointer is uh, not something people talk about every day, but, uh, and I won't say that he's in a duck blind. We do some field hunting, pass shooting, and Digby's got a way to figure that one out. Where thanks to my son, he trained him on how to, watch for the birds coming overhead, not just wood ducks and teal and mallards and so on, but also we call them timber doodles or woodcock, American woodcock. So, anyways, yeah, to answer your question, my boys have taken an active interest in English setters, and we're so proud to keep that great line going so that the boys could be set up in a situation where they could have that breed or that lineage into their own personal family someday. So there you go.
Oh, I love that. So English setters, they're primarily an upland game bird dog,
That's
correct?
right. They're a pointer and um, classic classic upland game hunting dog.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of your listeners will know that um, English setters can certainly be versatile, but they're yeah their North Star is their superpower is for partridge and woodcock, in my opinion.
And there's healthy populations out there. Like, is that what you like to go hunting for? Or is upland game birds?
Yeah, and that's how I started hunting, was following my dad along in just a slow walk in county forests around our home town, my hometown, and had never had any experience hunting with a dog until I got my own, really. And now I couldn't imagine ever going partridge hunting without an English setter. That's just the way I that's just the way I like to do it. It's very interactive, and I like all hunting, but there's nothing better, in my opinion. It's if you get a double on grouse in one day, it's like you I came home and I just shot a 10-point buck. I'm super excited about partridge hunting, and I think it's that throwback to times with my dad and that real connection to how hunting really started for me. But then I have, just like I explained with my boys, they took it to a new level. I took it to a new level with what my dad set me up with in terms of hunting. So, and that's the way I think hunting should go. We should always be progressing. Another example of that is, although my dad introduced me to hunting, um, I learned how to deer hunt on my own. He wasn't active involved in deer hunting at that time, although he had deer hunted as a kid with his father and his brother, my uncle. And it was satisfying to tell you this, that I actually taught my dad how to turkey hunt. And
Oh,
if
cool.
if you don't know the story, in Ontario, the wild turkey program in Ontario is considered one of North America's greatest conservation success stories. As I know, you've got turkeys in British Columbia as well. But the point is that there wasn't a consistent. My dad was in a generational, you know, black hole in terms of turkey hunting opportunities. There's just no opportunities at all for him to turkey hunt. I remember my hunter education instructor saying someday we'll be able to hunt wild turkeys, and I was like, yeah, right. And now, like you've seen how passionate I am about my turkey hunting in the spring, and it's just part of who I am. And so again, there's another generation that has access to hunting, and I feel like many people my age, I just turned 50 this year, have done the same thing as I did, where I actually returned the favor. I paid it back to my dad, who brought me into hunting, by saying, okay, now we're going to start turkey hunting. Oh, what's this all about? Well, I'd already killed a couple birds by the time he had started turkey hunting. But then we've both been a powerful turkey hunting duo for, probably going on 20, 25 years. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, great.
So he started taking you out. So you grew up in the hunting family, in the hunting world. That was part of your childhood.
Yes, very, very easy hunting. Handful of shotgun shells and walk down a partridge trail. And if that was all that ever, hunting was ever going to be for me, that was fine. Um, but as I started to get through college, and then I got into a full-time job, I wanted more hunting. And then this idea of deer hunting, and uh, oh my goodness, I think I went for 4 or 5 years deer hunting and never got one. But my eyes were big as saucers, the whole experience. I wanted to be a deer hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and and I've I've been, successful almost every year for deer. I don't take that for granted. There's some years where it's pretty hard to find a deer, even in our area, which there's deer coming out of the woodwork some years. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, deer hunting takes a lot of effort, and I love it. I've been involved in bear hunting, spring bear hunting in particular, and of course, turkeys we mentioned. Waterfowl is something I'm really passionate about. Um, yeah, so just and the hunting experience for me is not just a season. I don't get fired up about hunting just during the week of rifle season in our area for deer, which gives us, actually I should stand corrected, it's 2 weeks. I take a week of vacation though. But deer hunting is 12 months of the year. I get excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I speak for many hunters, hopefully all
Yeah.
hunters, in saying that our devotion to these hunts is it's in our blood. It's always on our mind. It's in our heart, and we are constantly um, uh, finding ways to be in the outdoors, to see deer at all times of the year, either looking for sheds, getting excited about deer tracks, getting excited about finding a deer bed. Just a week or so ago, my son was swimming at a local quarry here, and he had a deer run by him, and he's all excited because it was the first time he'd been that close to a deer in velvet, with the antlers in velvet.
Oh,
So
nice.
again, as a deer hunter, you are impressed, fascinated by uh, deer biology, deer behavior, 12 months of the year. And then when hunting season comes, it really feels like it's a deserved moment in time when you've got a buck coming in, and this, things are coming together, and it's a great shot, and it goes down, and adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
And my boys have been actively involved in deer hunting. There's lots of pictures, as you've even seen on my Instagram, where the boys have been tagging along with me, and then the hero shots, if we call them that, after a deer is down. But what you don't see before that picture was taken was my boys talking about how did it all happen, where did the deer come from, you know, uh, what was the yardage? And then we go take a look at the deer, and we have this thing where we actually give the deer its last supper, where it's it's symbolic, I admit. It's just a way that we are connected. We admire the deer, we pet the deer, we say thanks to the deer, and we stuff a little bit of grass or twigs or whatever we find there at the kill site into the deer's mouth, and we say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, we make, we're really, really proud of our venison that comes into this house, and your family, Dana, certainly reflects that kind of pride, as well as the Pye family, where um, we we mark the packages when they come out of the freezer. I'll put CB, Charlie's Buck. CB, if
Mm-hmm.
it's a package for CB, it's
Yeah.
Charlie's Buck, and it's kind of, it's conversation, at least around, what are we eating tonight? Well, venison, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Which one? Oh, it's Charlie's Buck. And that I encourage that, because that takes you back to the field. It takes you back to that moment, and it's just one of those things we do.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And it's important. It's so neat for your boys that they've had this heritage in, going out with dad. You went out with grandpa, um, or you went out with your dad, their
Yep,
grandpa.
that's right.
Is your dad still around? Does he come out?
Yeah, he is,
Yeah.
and he's doing great. And
Good.
I don't mind sharing, actually, that um, uh, my dad had 2 or 3 years with a really bad back, and he's 77. Um, and I didn't push him on it. I found I presented solutions whereby he could participate in the hunt, and I got to the point where I thought, well, my days of deer hunting with my dad, maybe he's just not able to hunt with me anymore from a physical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he is so committed to our deer hunting time together that he doubled down on his home exercises. He doubled down on his uh, personal well-being, and hunting really became something. Hunting season became something for him to work towards in terms of physical health. So there's an example where um, goal setting really comes into play when it comes into hunting.
Yeah.
I'm always goal setting on my hunting in terms of, you know, I want to get a deer this year with my compound bow. I want to get a deer this year in this situation. I'm always wondering that. But for my dad, it was I'm gonna do I'm gonna do the darn physiotherapy at home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to mess around with my health, and I think that it's a really important statement, and I'm really proud of him because this past year he came out and I gave him a pretty cushy um, ground blind to take, but it still took a lot of physical effort and tenacity on his part to get in there. And he hunted first morning, opening day, without any action at all. He went back for the afternoon hunt, and pow, like that came from Dad's blind. And sure
Yeah.
enough, he took a beauty buck, and I was so proud of that buck because, it's a good shot and all that other stuff. But he made a commitment, not just to me, but also his grandkids, that he would not miss out the hunting season.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. Good for him. I think, and that's so important for people who don't hunt. I think that message is so important for us to be able to communicate to them that this is our heritage, especially for you. Like, I'm just starting a heritage here, but especially for you, that this is part of your heritage, and this is something that is so important to your family that your dad is willing to put in the work, and have that, whatever it was, a sticky note that he needed on the wall, like, we're going for deer season, we're going for deer season, and every day just putting in that effort.
That's right.
Because this isn't about just going out into the woods and killing stuff. This is something that has so many layers of nuance and importance for us, that we're willing to sacrifice, willing to put in that effort to make sure that that happens, not only on a personal level, but on a family level, so that we can have those experiences together, have those memories, and that bonding time, that connection together out on the landscape with these animals, and then back to our plate when we gather around the table, so we can remember those moments all over again as we partake, as we eat together, as we're nourished by the food that we got to get out there together, and have those moments. It's a continual cycle that I love so much, and I'm excited to have that for my family. But it's great to hear that from someone like yourself, who's just lived this for your whole life, and
Right.
how your kids get to just benefit from this lineage that you have. So that is really, really cool. Good job for your dad. I'm sure he was so proud and relieved that everything came together, and it's kind of like a pat on the back for him
It
for
sure
all the
is. Yeah.
hard work that he put in, that it was worth it.
It sure is. Yeah. Yeah. And I texted him to that effect. I told him that I was really proud of him for
Mm-hmm.
working, doing the hard work. Um, so yeah, hunting is more than food security, although that's really important for my family. There's pride in good wholesome venison, or bear bear burgers, as we call it. We love our ducks, and we fish a lot too. We haven't talked about that part, but we fish a lot. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I'm going out in a few hours to go fishing with a friend of mine. Opening bass season is tomorrow in my neck of the woods. So yeah, it's all of that. And when when people used to ask, why do you hunt, especially from the non-hunter, or um, it, in the segment of society that is somewhat offended by this notion of hunting, or been misinformed to think that
Mm-hmm.
hunting is somewhat criminal. Um, and in defense of hunting, I always came at it wrong. For many years of my life, I was jumped into the we need to control populations, and I got into this trying to sound like a scientific, wildlife manager, which I'm not, although I have spent 28 years in the field of conservation, I can certainly carry my own weight in terms of a fish and wildlife science-based kind of conversation. But that's not the kind of conversation somebody that's somewhat offended about hunting needs to hear. What they need to hear is about the quality conversations I've had with my dad as a kid growing up on the bench seat of his old GMC Sierra truck driving into a
Yeah.
partridge hunting trail. And, if you start a conversation like that, how bad can hunting be? Or more specifically, how bad can hunters be? That, I am talking passionately. Here I am, 50 years old, still talking to my dad, talking about my dad as fondly as I did, at being a little kid. And
Hmm.
that's probably thanks to the strength of our hunting time together. And so I always start a conversation about hunting with in terms of family values. Then I might get into what we just discussed around food, food values
Hmm.
for food security. And it's a really good topic these days because everybody's blown away or floored by the cost of groceries and so on. And um, and then it gets into um, stewardship, conservation, and those are the topics that I take a lot of pride in. And as I say, like, let me loose on those topics, and I can really, I can hold my ground with anybody that has an opinion about hunting. In terms of it being in their mind,
A
putting
negative thing.
wildlife in jeopardy or in peril or something. So I'm always proud to talk about hunting. I love defending hunting, and but I admit that I probably came at it the wrong way in my early years.
Well, that's all part of, our journey as humans to, whatever the topic may be. We're always learning how to communicate with people who don't see from our perspective, and learning how to bring them on board so that they can resonate with what we're talking about. Because from a scientific point of view, people only can connect with that to a certain level. But as soon as you bring it into like family stuff, that seems to be where people can understand more, because we all feel. And so how hunting makes you feel, they can more understand that, because they have their own things that make them feel something. So I think that's great that you've learned now how to speak and how to approach hunting from that perspective, as something that makes you feel something.
Right. And your story, sorry to turn the tables here on the interview, but your story resonated with me from the minute I saw heard about the podcast and your involvement in this production. I I found myself wondering what my life would be like if I was having a situation in time like you're having over the last 3 or 4 years. That being, in your words, an adult onset hunter.
Hmm.
And I wondered how I would have um, immersed myself in the hunting experience at a later stage in life if I didn't have the background. My grandfather was a World War II vet and came back and was hunting, and then passed that along to my dad, and even my dad's brother, my uncle David, who was actually out for uh, this past fall. My dad and his brother hunted together for the first time in about 40 years.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, yeah, right here on my own property. Anyways, but I wondered that um, how I would have responded, how I would have done in your experience. So I give you a lot of credit, and you are a really good example of how hunting recruitment and promotion could be achieved. And you and I have talked, when we've texted about this, at least about how I think there's some things that are done in the hunting community these days as as public relations or a photo op, but I don't really think they're achieving
Hmm.
much groundwork in terms of true hunter recruitment. And what I'm talking about is these, got the kids out today for a pheasant hunt. Um, you know, I got, and then you find out that there's 14 kids and 7 or 8 of them are with hunting families anyways. Um, and that's nice and good for the volunteers to do that and the industry to do that. But if we really want to get serious about hunter recruitment and changing the public mindset about hunting, we need to look at your uh, experience, Dana. We need to follow in your footsteps and follow your journey, um, because I I do have a problem with this idea of having pretending it's a hunt when it's so packaged that they that it's not really you're not really a new hunter unless you were able to go back to that location on your own and do it from start to finish on your own without being babysat. Um, it's good for people to take people out and be introduced, but it's more than a one and done. It takes time and
Mm-hmm.
devotion, and it takes a self commitment not only as the mentor but also as the aspiring hunter, whether they're 15 or 52, starting out hunting. They need to look through, where do I want to hunt? What do I want to hunt? Um, how am I going to work this into my work schedule? What kind of budget am I going to be able to put on this? And it doesn't need to be costly. We live in a country that is, just blessed with all this great expanse of wilderness. Nobody can tell me that there's no place to go hunting. I don't buy that. There's lots of
Yeah.
places to go hunting. It depends on how far you want to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to walk a county forest, public hunting property that has, five other hunters on it the same day as you are, and you go home and wonder why you didn't hear a flush of a grouse?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you need to go on the Wednesday rather than the Saturday, or maybe you need to say, you know what, hunting's so important to me, I'm going to travel 3 or 4 hours north and get into you know, some wilderness. So like we can't get into this mindset like, well, we don't have places for hunters to go anymore. That's nonsense. There's lots of places for people to go for hunting, and this idea of getting the 13 and 14-year-old involved in hunting in these one and done events, that's nice. But how does that actually work out for them in the end? What we need is um, this Generation X, myself included, and I'm surprised by the amount of um, especially men, if I may say so, that are around my age, and their social circles getting a lot smaller, and the workday seems to get longer. And there's working
Mm-hmm.
from home, there's isolation happening, there's more mental health issues than ever before, and um, I think adults are taking a look at, how do I want to spend my time? What
Mm-hmm.
is my how what is my identity right now? And your identity does change,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
through you as you go through life. You're It's not just a maturity thing. It's like, this is okay. This is how I want to. And I actually think that 40 to 55 years old is a really sweet spot to start talking to somebody about hunting for a couple of reasons. One, they 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 have a full-time job and they can work it into their schedule with some vacation time, and they can work it into their budget with respect to, it's not difficult for them to say, I'm going to spend $700 on a shotgun here. Um, it's unlike, a 13 or 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the time or the money or even the car perhaps to get them out. So um, back to the 40 to 50-year-old, which is where I think the industry and government in particular needs to devote the promotion in
Hmm.
terms of hunter recruitment and get the adults involved in hunting, because holy smoke, sit back, because when dad comes home with the first deer, you can bet there's going to be two teenagers can't wait to see what's in the back of that truck.
Yeah.
And they are going to be like, Dad, sign us up for hunter education. Let's get out there next year. And it
Yeah.
becomes a snowball effect. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that with several of my buddies that didn't have a hunting onboarding like I had as a kid, and now they're into it, and now their kids, their eyes are as big as saucers with respect to the opportunity. Now you've got the investment. Now you've all of a sudden got this new hunter who, in fact, becomes the mentor. So it's a great opportunity. I'm really encouraging the hunting community to work with the government to say, like, let's rethink how we approach deer licenses in terms of, and sorry, I don't know how it works anywhere else than Ontario. So my perspective is only Ontario, which is
Sure.
where our provincial fish and wildlife conservation laws are based on. But like there could be something really creative for the family. One example I have is for the spring turkey hunt, where we also have a fall hunt, and it's really under like there's not too many people that I know that are called themselves avid fall turkey hunters. Well, I would set up a situation where um, the spring turkey tag, if it's unfulfilled, you can use it in the fall. If you didn't kill the bird in the spring, go try to kill it in the fall. That would be great for a young hunter,
Yeah.
especially if they're going to follow their dad along for the deer hunt. Say, well, that's okay. We didn't get a deer. We didn't have any deer activity come underneath the stand for for archery season, for example. But you know, um, Danielle shot a nice turkey while we were out. Um, so some things like that. And it's not a conservation concern. It's just shape, reshape how we package our deer licenses, come up with family programs, and do more. A really good example would be, and I give the credit to the Canadian Wildlife Service for providing um, free youth licenses for waterfowl. Um, and that played out quite nicely in my own home where my two boys they can go online, get their own migratory bird stamp, waterfowl license. And last year I was on the fence. Am I going to hunt ducks this year? Well, I actually do hunt woodcock, so yeah, I need it. But yeah, for sure, I'm game to go duck hunting even more because the boys have got theirs all set up.
Yeah.
So there's a good example how that could play out. Well, let's take that and apply it to deer and moose and in Ontario there's this it's nonsense, but the kids aren't allowed to get into the draw uh, for for the tag system for the lottery for example for a doe tag for deer. I'm like, if there's anybody that should be able to get a doe tag, it
Yeah.
should be a young hunter. So
How old do they have to be until they can get in there?
yeah, yeah.
Is that
So
like
I'm
16,
actually really
18?
confident about the future of hunting. Um, I do get frustrated when I see some of these events where it's it's billed as a hunter recruitment strategy, but it's really just a PR event.
Mm. Um, so yeah, so you're very passionate about mentorship,
Yes,
obviously.
yes.
So seeing people who know what they're doing, taking out the next generation of hunters, um, which is what you're doing with your kids. And how about your kids, or your kids' friends? Have they ever tagged along with you, or have your kids mentioned that their
Y-
friends want to get into it? And is there an
Yes,
opportunity there?
yes, they have. That's happened around our family. We're a walking, talking billboard, as are a lot of families in terms of we're always proud of our hunt. The neighbors are the first to know, for example, when a deer is down over here. We talk it up all the time. Of course, I am, as you know, not bashful about showing my hunts, not just kills, but the actual hunting experience itself on social media. And that's obviously leveraging a good opportunity for youth interest in hunting, if I may say so.
Yeah.
Say so. But yeah, I've seen that play out. In fact, I can tell you a funny story. Our deer season for archery in my area ends on December 31st. And uh, a few years ago, we were having a New Year's Eve party, and my wife said, and the house is full of people. My wife said, it's the party started early, and I think there's about an hour left of hunting season. The hunting season's gonna end in about an hour. And
Yeah.
she said, like, you're not deer hunting tonight? I'm like, oh, I wouldn't do that. We got a house full of people. How rude is that? She's like, well, they're just nibbling and having some drinks or whatever. She said, why don't you go deer hunting? So, yep. don't have to tell me twice. Off I go. Sure enough, a nice buck came out, and
No way.
yeah, I texted back and said, "Deer down," and it was cool because all the kids from the party came out, and right up to their knees in snow, or past their yeah, up to their waist really in snow, and we dragged home a deer on for this New Year's Eve party and hung it up. And the kids were, there was kids there that don't have hunting experience, and in fact, there's one friend of ours in particular. Her and I joke, quite regularly about this, because this whole idea of hunting is, don't even talk to me about it type of thing. So, but her son was just really enthralled in the whole experience, and she was good enough to make sure that he got to see and participate in that. Anyways, that's just an example where, yeah, my kids have really promoted, and in a really nice way. I'm really proud of my boys. They've been really classy about it. Not, you know, blood and guts about it type of thing.
Hmm.
Just very tasteful and very respectful. They're bringing these conversations into their classroom on a regular basis. Even my wife, who is a science teacher, talks about the benefits of hunting all the time,
Oh, good.
and
Good for
yeah,
her.
from a scientific point of view, and an impact on our natural resources, and talks about, has the students look at, for example, the fuel costs, and the impact in terms of grocery store meat, and all of the transportation costs to get it there, and all the wrapping, compared to the game meat, for example, that comes out of her freezer.
Hmm.
And she's of course talking about my experience. Oh,
Does she
yeah,
ever go out with you?
yeah, she's a hunter as well. It's
Okay.
not, yeah, it doesn't fuel her passion like it does mine, but uh, really, because she's so busy at the time of hunting season being a teacher. But
Right.
um, yeah, she's an active hunter, and yeah, certainly has spent some time in the tree stand. She's got her own tree stand and stuff. So
Oh, good.
yeah, it's a family event, and actually, there's hardly been a deer in the last 7 or 8 years where Kathy's actually not the first one on the scene to with the bush buggy on the ATV, and a sharp knife, and
Getting
cord
after
to,
it.
yeah, cord to do the field dressing and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's all part of it. It's great.
That's awesome. Wonder if it'd be great if she could do like a science field trip to the field, show her students where the food comes from, or prepare a dish for them that she had a hand in either harvesting herself or processing with you. And because that's where it all comes, like we all eat, and
Yeah.
so to have that connection to our food that we are losing as a society, as a culture, just really, I think it fascinates the younger generations. They just find it so intriguing, that you killed this and you processed it and you touched it, and now we're eating this thing that you went out and killed. That's amazing. It's just so outside of their wheelhouse. So the more often we can do that and just share with people, it's such an easy way to invite them into this lifestyle, and this, just appreciating where their food comes from, and doing hard things, doing things that are uncomfortable, even, for a greater purpose. So I think hunting is just amazing. I think everyone that eats meat, especially, should go out on a hunt and just see the effort that is involved in procuring that meat. Because it's too easy. We've made it too easy to just go to the store and pick up whatever package is on sale and bring it home and throw it in the frying pan. But
You're bang on, and this conversation goes into gardening. It goes into
mhm, farming.
as yeah, anybody that's tried to make their own lettuce. For example, it's really, as far as you just
It's
go and buy
hard.
it. Yeah, as far as
Yeah.
you just go and buy it. Um, I won't say the satisfaction is the same. Just last night we had uh, summer garden salad. Like, it really truly makes. I've never said this before in my life. Like, that's a good salad. But uh, what makes it good is it just came out of the garden. It was just
Right.
picked.
Yeah.
So that's very rewarding. And as you mentioned in my introduction, thank you for that, that my family is also producing maple syrup.
Yeah.
And people have no idea how much effort goes into collecting the sap, boiling it down, and all the work to even get even ready for sugar shack season or maple syrup season, in terms of, you know, I call the sugar house or sugar shack, place
Yeah.
where I boil down the sap, and you know how this works, because I've shared this experience with you before with photos and stuff like that, Dana. But yeah, it really, it's very humbling to try to, uh, not try to, but to go through the process of taking care of your own, being self-reliant.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I take a lot of satisfaction in that. Um, um, I've always been proud of um, that hard work, and
Yeah.
it transcends. It's not just hunting's hard work, gardening's hard work, fishing's hard work,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, making maple syrup, picking strawberries is hard work. So it, yeah, we do live, skip the dishes society, just get food delivered.
Yeah.
The that's that's somebody else's world. That's not mine. That
No.
My world is, you know, it's really working your butt off for every meal.
Yeah. But then with that comes that level of satisfaction that you cannot get any other way. It just makes the food taste even sweeter. So it's definitely worth it to put in the effort and the hard work. And you're full, not only physically, but in so many other ways too, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I must say that um, the outdoors life has been good, uh, for all the reasons we've been discussing here, but also from a, a physical and mental health standpoint. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know that I am a better guy to be around, in the fall, because hunting is my escape. Hunting is my downtime. It's my meditation. It's my, you know, um, soul searching and mindfulness. I am really at peace in
Mm-hmm.
the fall with my hunting. I can find that way too on the trout stream, fishing away and just being lost in the moment, and having, you know, being in the moment, being present. Um, Hunting for me is also about, um, not huffing and puffing to go from A to B. I like to stay in shape for hunting, and as much as I give
Yeah.
my dad credit for how hard he worked, given his situation with his back and so on,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I've also been committed to being physically, ready for the elements. Um, in the fall, there's some days where uh, you know, according to my Fitbit, anyways, uh, do 15 kilometers, just out the back
Nice.
door.
Yeah.
That's a deer hunt in the morning, out in the back 40 with my bow, back again out with the dogs for an afternoon grouse hunt, and then, towards the end of the day, I'm picking up the bow and I'm going back out deer hunting. It doesn't take long for you to get, 21,000 steps in.
Yeah.
And then eating better and having a clear head.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if anybody really wants to double down on their physical mental health, go hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
Go
why
hunting.
that's
Yeah,
part of the reason
go.
why I'm getting after it too, is so that in the fall I'll be able to lift. Hopefully, I'll be able to pack heavy when I am done my hunt and be
Right.
capable of doing that. Um, because I've pulled my back before, sprained ankles, and that's just not being prepared. And I know that it can happen even when you are fit, but just giving yourself every opportunity for success when it does come down to it. And then even now, like I haven't done my workout today, and I feel it. I feel like okay, this has to happen today because now it's part of my life, but it is part of the long game too for this upcoming fall season. Part of my training is for today, but it's also for the future, so that I am prepared and ready for when that situation arises, and I know I can trust my body to be able to handle it.
You're doing
So
great, by the way. You're an inspiration. How you communicate your fitness, not for, I don't know, not for vanity reasons, or you're not doing it for, you know,
no, if you watch
to,
my videos, it's not for vanity.
no,
Yeah,
you keep it real, but you're expressing the fact that you can't go to the gym just once a month and go, well, I had my workout.
right.
It really is a daily thing, and I've been really um, focused on weightlifting and keeping my cardio. Um, I make some lifestyle choices. I'm really watching how much I drink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of, and I do enjoy my whiskey, but use those whiskey shots as a reward or a
Right.
celebration rather than
Yeah.
just a daily pour. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's just different mindsets, and again, it's a lot of my biggest levels of clarity and success has always been predicated on um, time in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm. And you have a good chunk of property out there. You got like 100 and something acres, right?
Yeah, we call it Pie Acres. It's 138 acres, and it's heritage property with everything you could dream of for
Amazing.
our part of the world. Yeah, we're really proud of it. And it 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 has hardwoods and softwoods and ponds and old historic stone fences and
Oh,
rolly
neat.
hills, or drumlins as they call it in our area. So um,
Mm.
and take a lot of pride in the property, and it's a dream come true because as a fan of all the Leopold's Sand County Almanac and understanding the satisfaction of transforming land and making it a better place, making it um, you know taking stewardship, uh, pride in a piece of property. And it's very humbling because I have uh, chainsaws and ATVs and trailers, and um, I have you know really sophisticated clothing to keep me warm. And you're back in
We
the
kind of
woods.
need that.
Well, yeah, you're back in the woods, but then all of a sudden you come across an old fence right in the middle of the woods, and you're trying to figure this one out. But then you realize I'm actually in a new forest. That one time this forest was pasture, and
Mm.
by new, the forest is maybe 60 or 70 years old, and it needs to be managed. But at one time, there was a poor farm kid, presumably, that
Yeah,
went in and didn't have ATVs and chainsaws and warm clothes and you know a Yeti cup and all the other
that's
stuff,
right.
and went in and worked their ass off to get things ready for farming, and had a fence put up, and there I am thinking I'm this tough and rugged
Big,
guy,
yeah, that's
and
right.
then I realized no, there was a farm kid here before that could outwork 8 of me.
Yeah, we're doing our best in 2025 here, with all of our technology and everything. Um, yeah, to be fit and mentally, physically, but we do have luxuries in life, just because of where we are in time.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, and we deserve uh, for people who fish and hunt and trap. I'm not a trapper. Someday I will be.
It's
Credit to
next.
all the
It's on your
trapper.
bucket list somewhere.
It's on my list.
Uh-huh.
Um, there is a level of resilience and uh, there's just a human connection that I think anglers and hunters have about themselves. There's a way. Um, I can usually spot uh, a fellow hunter in a crowd of people for some, and it's not just by the camo hat or
I was
you
gonna
know.
say, is it the Vortex shirt? That's what
Well,
happened to my son the other day.
true enough, true enough.
Yeah,
Those brands do show up, but I
right.
mean, how many Bass Pro Shop hats are out there, and the kid doesn't even fish? But
True.
yeah, the hunting community is certainly proud, and they deserve to be proud for having the brands. And I'm a big Browning guy, so there's always a buck mark on me somewhere, I guess. But
Yeah.
um, there is a resourcefulness and a resilience, and there's like I could spot a farmer from across. There's something
Hmm.
about them in their character that, for me, kind of shines out, and and that needs to be celebrated. And we are a country that's really proud of our identities and our culture and our history, and of course our land. um, there's a great many people in this country that have hunting connections, whether they actively hunt anymore or not. They should take a look back in the family scrapbook and find out, you know, before Uncle Billy, for example, went off to war, there's probably, you know, there's probably a deer
Yeah,
story. And
absolutely.
yeah, and anyways, Pierre Burton talked about that in his book about Vimy Ridge, talked about the 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 Canadians that went over to be trained, and the Allies couldn't believe these Canadians, what good shots they were. And Pierre Burton always talked about, well, of course they're good shots. Like every Canadian kid grew up, you know, deer hunting or with a rifle,
Yeah.
and that's a story that needs to be shared and be promoted. And with all this political, um, I get tired of hunters and gun owners being somehow painted as these bad people.
Hmm.
And my dream for the hunting community is for any hunter, uh, whether they're a new Canadian or been an old timer with the old red and black and checkered shirt.
Yeah.
My dream is that we will get to a point in society, and not just in the rural communities, which I'm proud to live in with myself. I'm talking about, wouldn't it be great to walk into a Tobacco Tim Hortons in full blaze orange, and walk in and you know, get your double double, and have
Hmm.
people look around and not go,
I'll give you the side eye.
give
Oh.
you the side eye. Good expression. Good expression. What did he poach today? Or what
Hmm.
activity, like call a CO, kind of look in their eyes. My dream would be for somebody to walk into a public space, be clearly um, known as somebody that's been actively out hunting that morning or going hunting soon, and that the feel in the room is like there's somebody that cares about fish and wildlife.
Yeah.
There's somebody that really cares about um, uh, tradition and outdoor honor and respect and ethics.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that that's doable. I think that my boys will be able to, in their peer group, be able to, I think, ride a promotional hunting wave that we've never seen before. I think the good days for hunting are yet to come.
Awesome. I love that optimism. I know a lot of people don't feel like we are in that. We're riding that wave up. We're tanking. And it depends who you talk to, but yeah, I'll choose to stick with you and your optimism about the future. And it really comes down to each of us doing our part in our spheres of influence to be a positive example of what hunting and conservation is in this country, because it is part of all of our heritage as Canadians, and we want to see it preserved and move forward. So yeah, as we each do our part, we can change the narrative and how people perceive us. So hopefully we can come rise to that outcome that you just described.
Well, I think that we can, and you know, it's credit to podcasters such as yourself and Mark, and you know
Hmm.
the team around you, your family for supporting your interests, and you've embraced the hunting world. You've actually been leading by example, taking part in these conferences and these special. I know you just got back from Iowa. I can't remember the name of the event that you're at, but these are good
Yeah.
things. The biggest problem with the hunting community is we're always preaching to the converted.
Right.
You know, we're always, you know, preaching to the choir. Um, we have these hunting heritage days, which are a bit meaningless. Like it's just patting yourself on the back. What hunting heritage days really should be about is getting some mainstream media attention and being in places, you know, crossing some bridges, building some building some alliances that don't already know about hunting. That would
Mm.
be the ultimate celebration. To see, for example, uh, uh, men's health magazines uh, profile hunting as,
Right.
you know,
This is
instead
June.
of,
It's Men's Mental Health Month. That'd be a
yeah,
perfect opportunity to spotlight how hunting can is beneficial for men,
absolutely,
like we've
absolutely, you
talked
know,
about just now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, and I think the profile that women are getting in hunting is really great. Um, by the way, I've always hunted with 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 all kinds of people, but one of my best friends uh, hunting, Jane, she's been hunting with me a long time. We haven't hunted in the last 3 or 4 years together, that's for sure. But um, I just make that point to say that from my perspective, I don't see women hunting as novel. I
Mm.
see it as just part of life now.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't. I think that um, that's a good message to send to the hunting community. Like, don't uh, don't center out women hunting because, oh, there's a woman hunting over here. It's just part of the scene. It's just part of the hunting scene. Let's
Hmm.
just get good with the fact, be cool with the fact as an industry that women are an active part of hunting. It doesn't need to be, you know, it
But
doesn't.
yeah,
I guess it
I hear
can
what
be
you're saying.
celebrated, but it doesn't need to look and sound like we're doing something way different here. For my generation, women have always been hunting. Let's just get good with that fact, and
Yeah.
let's just roll with it and celebrate it. And as you know, I write for Outdoor Canada magazine. I'm really proud of Outdoor Canada magazine because recently they did a feature on women anglers, and it wasn't like, guess look who's fishing and they're women. It was,
Yeah.
no, these are expert tips. These are expert fishing tips. The women were featured because they've got every, you know, bit
It's
of
just because they know what they're talking about.
expertise. They know what they're talking about. Like
Yeah.
I read those profiles with great interest because they know what the heck they're talking about more so than probably any other fishing author that Outdoor Canada could find. And I just think that's now the playing field just totally got leveled out, right? And
Yeah.
I like that. Let's not just make a big deal about it just because women are fishing and hunting. It's just part of life, and
Yeah.
and
And it
right
has
on.
been.
And it
Yeah.
has been. It has been.
Yeah.
Let's
Hmm.
get over that.
Yeah. Cool. On that note, we've been chatting for an hour here. Um, really appreciate your time talking about we didn't even touch on most of the things that are in the bio that I described at the beginning of the show. But we talked about stewardship, we talked about mentorship, your story with your sons, your dad, your heritage, a little bit about your dog. We'll just have to have you on the show again and continue the conversation. Didn't get a chance to talk about your position with Watershed Canada, but we'll put that in the show notes. Um, People can find you on Instagram for sure.
Yes. At Pi 75, and
Pi 75.
yeah, a shout out for a great conservation organization that have a
Yeah.
great conservation team, and we love all outdoor interest, including hunting. And it's Watersheds Canada, and a group that is just doing amazing work for good old fashioned roll up your sleeves, get the job done,
Yeah.
hard-hitting conservation work to improve shorelines and fish habitat.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. We'll have to do a part 2, talk more about that.
I would love that.
All right, Rob. Thank you
Thanks,
again for
Dana.
coming on the show.
Oh yeah, keep up the great work. Good luck to your family this fall or this summer.
Yeah, well, bear season in Region 3 here closes on Monday. I'm not going to get a chance to get out again, but yeah, preparing for the fall, and now it's time to go fishing. So
Right on.
that's all fun too.
You
Have fun on
too.
your fish later today.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
All right. See you later.
Bye.